Welcome to another episode of Journey to the Top, your favorite leadership podcast. We're quite excited and are fortunate to have a great leader with us today who's going to be unpacking some exciting things in terms of background. She's a CISO, which is a Chief Information Security Officer with over 20 years of experience in the IT security, cybersecurity space. And in terms of education background, she has a master's degree in computer science and security from well-established, reputed university in the UK. And what's amazing is she's an award-nominated executive, and she was the cybersecurity leader of 2024. And she's been in many magazines and international well-accoladed leader. She was part of the top 100 influential women. Top 50 professional in cybersecurity, and also top 20 influential women in Africa. So with us, we have the privilege of having Sithembile Songo. She is our guest for today. Welcome to our program.
Thank you for having me. It's an absolute pleasure for me to be here today.
Oh, we're really excited. And for us, we're quite grateful to have leaders blessing us with the time to join our program. And I know for sure that the listeners will be, they are really thrilled just to understand your journey to the top and to receive some of the advices through our podcast today. So in terms of, it's always good for us to understand your journey because it's quite a fascinating journey. And for us, we always want to inspire because there are times where, as it says, don't neglect the days of small beginnings. Absolutely. And the journeys are always good. So we would like to embark and understand your journey in terms of background, upbringing, which has shaped you to who you are as a phenomenal leader.
Oh, wow. If I were to tell you everything, I'll probably spend the whole night here. But what I can say is I'm a firstborn. So I'm the firstborn, and I have 4 siblings, wow. Meaning that, in total, there's 5 of us at home. So as a firstborn, obviously, the most disciplined.
Yes.
The firstborn get the most beating at home.
You don't get away with anything.
Yeah, because you have to set an example for your siblings that are coming behind you. So that's where even my leadership skills started, because I had to be a leader. I had to be an example to my siblings. And obviously, my parents wanted to make sure that I set up a good example for them so that they don't go astray. And I remember my father sharing that in my sister's wedding, saying, okay, you know what, our firstborn here made it a point that she set up a good example, and that is why we are here now. That is why even her younger sister is actually following in her footsteps.
Wow.
Yeah, so yes, I think having parents who also encouraged me a lot in terms of education, and they actually made it a point that we follow the STEM field.
Wow.
Yes, all my sisters, including my brothers as well, because I've got 2 sisters and 2 brothers. We all did maths and science, actually.
Wow.
Yes, because my parents always encouraged us to go the STEM field. I don't know where did they get so much wisdom during that day and age, but they knew that, okay, the STEM field is the way to go. And I believe they also saw the potential because we were doing well at school. So they were like, okay, if you can do so well I think you can also do well in this particular field. And I thank them for that wisdom because they were actually right.
Wow.
I thank them for always challenging us to do our best and to be our best. Obviously, we started in very humble beginnings because we did not have much at home, but they did not allow us to define us. They told us, that, you know what, you can do well. I remember my dad as well. He didn't have much when we finished matric. But he tried. He took loans and everything. But the first year, the money was finished. Like he couldn't take more loans. But fortunately, he went to his workplace and he requested a bursary for me and my sister because my sister is just 1 year younger than me. So it was supposed to be the two of us who go to tertiary. So thank God we got that bursary, and then we were able to continue with our tertiary education. So I can say that the determination from the parents is also important. If you take your child's education seriously, then at least it becomes easy for the child as well. Yeah.
Wow. That's I think that's really amazing, and it's phenomenal just to learn from humble beginning the efforts that the parents have made and the investment.
Absolutely.
And at the end of the day, being able to see the fruits of the sacrifice and hard work in raising a leader of your caliber.
It actually goes a long way, because even yourself as a child, you believe in yourself.
Wow.
When your parent tells you that, you know what, my child, you can do it. So no matter what negative vibes or energy you get out there, you know you've got that self-confidence because your dad or your mother told it, don't worry, it may be challenging for now, but in future, you'll be something great.
Wow.
And you know the words of a parent are very important. That is why as parents, we need to speak positive words to our children because they mean a lot. Besides meaning a lot, they actually make sure that your child develop that self-esteem.
Yes.
And words are powerful, by the way.
Wow.
Whatever that you say with your mouth, it does manifest. I've learned that through my parents.
Wow.
And I believe that I'll be practicing that. I am actually practicing that in my kids. And I encourage other parents to do the same because remember, we live in a very different world whereby people can have different perceptions about you as a person. But if you have that firm belief in yourself and you know what you're capable of, you know what you can do, then whatever negativity you can come across, you will not allow that to then define you or discourage you from achieving your objective.
Wow, that's phenomenal because it really speaks volume looking at the multinationals, organizations, and big local state-owned companies that you have represented at a senior level. So I can see that the upbringing helps a lot and really people are able to emulate by looking at your life, your journey, to see that if she has made it, we can also see it. And then now what also the biggest puzzle that we want you to put together as of you being a chief information security officer, that drive and passion, if you have to trace it, when did it start? Because normally we look at economics, different type of fields, but really getting into the niche skill that is highly in demand right now really makes us really longing just to understand how did you get to this place where you are at the moment.
Okay. To be honest, it was God orchestrated.
Wow.
The reason why I'm saying that is because, yes, I was in the IT field, but I intended to be a developer because obviously I had done computer systems engineering. I graduated. So I was more interested in the developing space.
Yeah.
I remember when we were called for internships, there were different domains, right?
Yeah.
And then during that process, I requested to be placed under the programming field. Why? Because that's what I wanted at that stage.
Wow.
But then the facilitators looked at my profile, and when they looked at my profile, they could see that, okay, I've done different domains in the IT space, because for you to be in the InfoSec space, you need to have a proper understanding, or should I say a basic understanding of what's happening in the IT space, whether it's in the network space, application space, and so
Yes.
forth. So the computer systems engineering was broad enough to cover all those domains. So when they looked at my profile, they said, okay, I think this person will be suitable for InfoSec. And that's where I was placed. I tell you what, when they placed me there, I still went to them. I said, okay, fine, I do accept this particular offer that you're giving me, but should there be an opening in the programming side of things,
Wow.
please do let me know.
Wow.
Little did I know that, you know what, a year later, I'll be so in love with the field in such a way that I never wanted to look back.
Wow.
Yes, and I also realized that they actually made a choice, a good choice for me. Obviously, it was God orchestrated. God used them to make the right choice for me, and I
Wow.
never looked back. And I'm really grateful for that moment, because this is why I'm where I at right
Yes.
now. Because if you look at most people, you'll find that they never even knew. I'm one of those. I never knew that there was information security at that stage.
Wow.
Yes, so I wouldn't have chosen it, not because I don't like it, but because I didn't know that it exists.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And looking at it, I think because that's such a valid point, and if we're looking at it because majority of technology will be developed in America, and then Europe, and then from there, the ripple effect of having international organization having the footprints in Africa, then for compliance purpose, they will need to have it. So if we're looking at the timeline and the impact of information system in our continent, I think we can say that it's almost like a new concept in the IT space.
Yeah, I do agree with you. You know what? We are not as advanced as developed countries when it comes to technology. Yes, we're getting there because in the cyberspace, we've got no choice. Remember, the cyber criminals don't care whether you're a developed country or not. They just launch the attacks. Actually, they take advantage. So we have no choice. And that's one of the reasons why I enrolled with the University of London.
Yes.
Because at that time, we did not have an institution that was offering this particular degree.
Wow.
And I was very much interested in it. I didn't want anything else. I just wanted information security. That's how much I was in love with the subject.
Wow.
So thank God I then discovered that, okay, yes, you can enroll for Masters in Information Security with the University of London while you're working. And I said, oh, wow, that's an awesome opportunity. Then I did exactly that, and I'm glad I did. I made that choice.
Well, and
Yeah.
and if you have to talk about awareness of, especially looking at a few institutions who are offering such education program on the continent, in order for one to be able to make such a decision, what is it that you will advise them to look in hindsight before they decide, okay, maybe we want to measure in information security. We want to move into the space of security. What are these things that you believe are quite kind of prerequisites before someone dive into this field?
Yeah. Okay. You know, experience has told me that even engineers or people who do not necessarily have IT background can do information security if they're passionate about it and if they have that capability to cope with what is required. Because I remember there's this other lady who did chemical engineering, and then she ended up in the information security space, and she was doing pretty well.
Wow.
When I was working for Deloitte, I remember that lady. She was good. So I wouldn't say that if you currently in a different field altogether, you can't do information security. But if you see that you have passion for it, you love technology, and by the way, you don't mind working long hours.
Talking about long hours?
Yes, then you can definitely enroll for information security related field. But what I like about information security is that it's broad, right? Whether you're technical or not, you can still find what is suitable for you. For instance, there's a governance space where you deal with policies, defining standards. You know, yes, you do need to understand technology, but you don't have to be that technically inclined. You know, so you can choose what is suitable for you. Nowadays, we need lawyers who can even testify in court on cybersecurity related matters. those lawyers don't need to be that technical. They need to have some understanding, but they don't need to be that technical. So it's a very interesting field, I must say, and it's very required at this day and age. Looking at the cyber attacks that we are facing globally, looking at the global shortage of cybersecurity resources as well. So we need to encourage the young ones to enroll in such fields.
Wow, that's a great one. Permits me to take you back a bit.
Okay.
So if we are talking about cybersecurity as a field,
Yes.
what is it all about? what is it? If someone, because
Yes.
we always hear about cyber attacks and all of it, we're like, which one is it? Who has attacked? Where? How? So maybe if you can really just unpack it for us, the space of cybersecurity. What is it that's happening there? What does it entail? Just in order for everyone to understand, and most importantly for aspiring cybersecurity specialists and leaders who are in this space, for them to really understand what is it all about.
Okay. I know that nowadays we use information security and cybersecurity interchangeably. But information security is broader than just cyber. The cyber component is where you look after the systems and make sure that the cyber criminals don't try to hack them so that they either steal your money or steal your information and hold you at ransom. I think you heard about companies where cyber criminals got access to the data and then they hold the company at ransom and say, if you don't pay so much, then we'll disclose this information to the public. So it's just if I define information security, there's a formal way of defining it. It's about confidentiality, integrity, and availability of information to the right people. So what does confidentiality mean? It simply means that only authorized people should have access to the information at all times, right?
Yes.
Meaning that if I'm not authorized to have access to certain systems or information, then I'm in breach of confidentiality.
Wow.
And from a technical point of view, it simply means that I also implement the relevant controls to make sure that that confidentiality is maintained at all times. Meaning that, for instance, I mustn't use certain information in clear text, because if it's in clear text, it's not encrypted, then it might end up with the wrong people. But if I encrypt the information, even if somehow someone decides to intercept the communication, at least that information is encrypted and they won't make sense out of it.
Wow.
So there are many controls that one can use to maintain that confidentiality. And then we go to integrity, right? Integrity is about making sure that, you know what, if I save my file today and I want to access it the following day or next month or even next year, I find it in the same way. No one has modified it without my permission.
Wow.
No one has manipulated it in any way whatsoever. So it's about maintaining the integrity of the information by making sure that no one can make unauthorized changes to that information or system. All right. Wow. So that's very important, because you might find that you want to make a transaction, right, to the bank. And if there's someone malicious, that person can intercept that transaction and change the figures to whatever that he wants. Or even change the account to his own account. Right?
Really?
Yes. So that means someone has tampered with the integrity. So there are ways of making sure that you keep the integrity throughout the process. For instance, you can do hashing. Hashing simply tells you if someone has tampered with the file in between. So there are hashing algorithms. Even there, you use the strong one, because if you use one that can be hacked, then it doesn't help. Earlier on, I spoke about encryption. If you use weak encryption, then it doesn't help. And nowadays, people are talking about quantum technology, which would include stronger encryption algorithms. So if you're still using weak encryption algorithms, you'll be a victim of cybercrime.
Wow.
All right. And then I spoke about availability. Availability simply means that my systems or my information must always be available to the authorized people at all times.
Yes.
Right? For instance, let's say, let me make an example that everyone can relate to. If I go to an ATM and I want access to my account,
yes,
then I must be able to get access to my account information. I don't expect the ATM to tell me that it's temporarily unavailable.
Wow.
Yes. So that's about availability. And obviously, there are controls that you put in place to make sure that the information or the systems are available to the users at all times. Even in a corporate environment, you make sure that the system is available to the business or the information is available to the business at all times.
At all
So it's
times.
about maintaining all these three key principles: confidentiality, integrity, and availability. And I spoke about hackers earlier on. Hackers do tamper with these three principles so that they can get access to the information, or should I say unauthorized access to the corporate information.
Wow.
So that is why you work along these three principles. Obviously, there are supporting controls that you need under each principle to make sure that you maintain the security of your information.
Well, so
Yeah.
if we're looking at these three components, I can say that this is one of the field that concerns all of us.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because remember, you're using technology as you speak.
Yes.
Imagine if someone were to intercept the technology and then give you a wrong information. It means that you won't be able to proceed with your work.
Wow.
Same thing applies with me as a CISO. I need to make sure that the business is able to proceed with their day-to-day operations without being distracted by either hackers or those malicious actors. So in the corporate space, it's quite broad because you need to protect against both external threat actors and internal threat actors. So it's a very interesting field, I must say, but it's also personally applicable because we use WhatsApp.
Yes.
You've heard about WhatsApp scams where people are scammed some money because someone has hijacked someone's WhatsApp account.
Wow.
Yes, so it's applicable. If you don't protect, for instance, your Facebook account, you don't use two-factor authentication, then it's easy for someone to actually hijack your account and pretend to be you. And that's not right. Sometimes we provide technology to our children or to the elders without necessarily explaining the risks of that having technology. So it's important when you empower our young ones, because they do need the technology at the end of the day.
100%.
Yeah, but we also need to empower them with the security measures that they should take so that they don't become victims of these cyber criminals.
Wow. And what do you see as the biggest, or what have you experienced as the biggest cyber security threats in your space?
Okay, wow. I've worked for different companies and each and every company is different. For instance, if you are a customer-facing company, DDoS, definitely. DDoS stands for Distributed Denial of Services. So these cyber criminals will try to affect availability of your systems. Remember, I spoke about three principles.
Yes.
So when the malicious actors try to affect the availability of your system, it means that now your clients or your customers won't have access to the systems because they threw this DDoS attack trying to just flood your systems with unnecessary information in such a way that your systems are not available anymore. So I've seen also ransomware attacks, right?
Wow.
Yes, there are many companies that have suffered ransomware attacks. I spoke about it earlier, where they penetrate the company and they get access to very highly sensitive information and they hold the company at ransom. That say, if you don't pay so much, then we will disclose this to the public. So I guess we've seen even a lot of companies, either locally or globally, complaining about these ransomware actors because there are so many. They realize that nowadays it's easy to get money just sitting behind a computer instead of going to the bank, because if you try to rob the bank, you might get shot. But if you're just sitting behind a computer,
Wow.
then the chances of getting shot are very slim. Yeah.
Wow. And when you look at it over the last few years,
Yeah.
and I know that this is quite a complex field because you develop technology, and at times your hackers, they also improve the technology.
Absolutely.
So it's constantly evolving. So what I
Yes.
wanted to understand is what are those things that helps an individual, because I think it would be good to start from an individual point of view,
Yeah.
and then we can discuss about organization. What are those, like you say, the two-factor authentication for individual? But what are those other things that we can really look out in order for us not to be at the mercy of these attackers?
You always need try to be a step ahead of the adversaries. Read about what these adversaries are trying to do out there, whether personally or in the corporate environment. Because whenever something happens, the media will tell us that such and such a thing happened. So don't just listen and say, oh, well, okay, it happened. No. Find out, how did it happen? Why did it happen? How can I make sure that I don't become a victim of such? For instance, if your friend gets hacked, maybe let's say his WhatsApp account got hacked, find out, my friend, what happened? How did you get hacked? They might not know at that stage, but if you have the right information, for instance, you ask whether the friend had two-factor authentication, did the friend maybe use unsafe machine somewhere in the internet cafe, because some internet cafes do not use the necessary measures to protect their endpoints. So if you just go there and maybe do your banking transactions, then you become a victim.
Oh.
Yes, so it's all about making sure that you are aware about the do's and don'ts. Even if you open a bank account and the bank offers you an electronic way of transacting, before you just say yes, ask, what are the risks? How can I make sure that I'm safe? Am I using a safe device?
Yeah.
Am I making sure that my updates are always there on my device? Because if you've got a phone, right, a mobile phone, you need to make sure that it's always up to date in terms of the software updates.
Wow.
And we don't do that as people. So it's important to make sure that we update our mobile devices so that we don't become a victim of the cybercrime. You know what these cyber criminals do? They can scan the network. So, and if your device is not updated, they can see that, okay, this device is on the internet, but it doesn't have these updates. So I can exploit it by doing ABC.
Wow.
Yeah, and nowadays it's easy because the information is readily available, even in terms of how to exploit devices if they don't have the necessary updates. So it's important to even teach our elders, because sometimes they can't do that on our own.
Exactly.
We help them do that. Let's do that on their behalf. I know that my mother is using a mobile phone, so whenever I visit her or whenever she visits me, I check whether her software updates are up to date. Yeah, just so that she doesn't become a victim of cybercrime. And also when it comes to banking, if you're not sure whether your device is safe or not, rather not, maybe you can also inquire from the bank, because if they provide you with a service, they also help you to protect what they're providing you with. They always send awareness messages as well in terms
Yes.
of the do's and don'ts. It's important to read those messages, because nowadays phishing attacks are very prevalent, both personally and in the corporate life. What happens there is they just send you a message, whether via email, or they can even use messages as well. They call it phishing if it's via SMS. And then if you click on the link, then someone might have access to your device.
Wow.
If you even provide your credentials, it's even worse, because there are many ways. In some cases, that malware is so advanced in such a way that by just clicking on the link, then they have access to your device. But in some cases, you have to provide your credentials before they can get access to your applications or your devices. And you know what? Nowadays, there are advanced phishing attacks in such a way that it's not easy to tell that is it legit or not, because of AI.
Wow. Yes.
We spoke about the evolving technology.
Yes.
So now cyber criminals are using AI as well to create these well-sophisticated phishing attacks, such that if I send it to you, you might think it's legitimate. It will be difficult for you to pick it up. So I remember in the olden days, it was easy for us to tell people that, no, if it's a phishing email, you can look out for these and that and that.
Yes.
But nowadays, it's so advanced, just that a normal human being can fall prey for those phishing attacks with AI, by the way.
Wow.
AI is here for good benefits in terms of cybersecurity and other fields. It's helping a lot in terms of automation. In the cyberspace, we know that there's a global shortage of cybersecurity resources. So we also leverage on AI to augment the resources that we have. However, the cyber criminals are also taking advantage of the same technology.
Wow.
So whenever there's a new technology, they also see how can it actually serve as an advantage to them. So in terms of AI, phishing-related messages, they take advantage of AI. And then they launch these sophisticated phishing attacks, and people fall for that, unfortunately. So there is why, at a corporate level, we shouldn't just rely at a human layer. Yes, we need to strengthen our people, transform them from being the weakest link to the strongest link, but we also need to put the relevant controls so that if the human layer fails, at least the other controls can kick in. That is why we always talk about defense in depth in the cyberspace. You don't just rely on one layer of technology. Wow. You rely on several layers because there's never a silver bullet when it comes to technology.
Wow.
Yes, you can't rely on just one technology and say, okay, yeah, you see, if I have this technology, I'll never get breached. That's not true at all. Because like we said, the cyber threats are evolving. There's a new threat each and every day. So that is why it's important to have those layers so that if one technology fails, the other one can kick in.
And how do you, especially I like the aspect of bringing artificial intelligence, Internet of Things, IoT. But now, how do you advise businesses in terms of the balance between in terms of innovation versus security?
Yes.
So how do you? I can imagine it's a complicated lever. So it seems like the more advanced we are in terms of the technology that we're bringing, there's a possibility that the most vulnerable we are in terms of that innovation.
It's a very good question, actually. And over the years, I've learned that, you know what, innovation is important. So we as cybersecurity professionals, we need to then enable the business. For instance, if they want to make use of AI, then we need to be a step ahead in terms of the security measures that they need to take into consideration as they embark on this AI journey. So yes, innovation is very essential. If the company doesn't innovate, then it might be absolute. If you look at companies that never invented or that never invested in technology or in innovation, those companies are no longer existing as we speak. So innovation is part of the journey, and that balance between cybersecurity and innovation is always important. When you balance, at least you don't stifle creativity from the business point of view. Because if you put too much controls that are unnecessary, then you stifle creativity. And we as cyber professionals, we are here to enable the business. How do you enable the business? By supporting them in what they want to innovate. How do you support them? By making sure that what they want to embark into is secured, right? Nowadays, we talk about agility, meaning that we need to be agile. What was applicable in the modern days is no longer applicable now. Sometimes it's too slow.
Correct.
So we need to be agile, and that's very important in each and every technical field because everything evolves, whether it's technology, even the cyber threats as well, they evolve. So we also need to move with the times. That is why when you're in this field, we're always learning something new each and every day.
Wow.
And that's very important for you to stay relevant.
Oh, that's I think I can see now the constant learning. Because even when you're sleeping, the hackers are
they're not sleeping.
They're not sleeping,
and that is why.
So they are not really.
And that is why you need technology that can work while you're sleeping.
24 hours.
Yes.
Wow, that's good. And now with that, how do you build that culture for an organization? How do you develop a cybersecurity culture for an organization? You as a leader, because I'm assuming that some of the threats and even incidents comes from the least expected people, because your managers and directors or technical gurus like you know what to avoid. And as you were
Yes.
talking about that, they are so advanced to a
Yes.
point where you might not even be able to distinguish which one is a correct info
Yeah.
versus an attack. But now, as a leader, how do you drive that culture of cybersecurity from top to bottom?
Okay, that's a very good question. And you know what? Promoting a security conscious culture throughout the organization is very fundamental. If the organization does not embed that security conscious culture, then whatever efforts that you're trying to put into place become futile. So that top-down approach is important, meaning that right from the board to the very lowest person in the structure must understand the importance of security. How do you do that? By creating the relevant awareness. And how do you do that? You make sure that you have the target audience type of an approach, whereby if you speak to the board, you speak the right language, right? You can't speak the same language to the board and the technical guru there. So the board has got a certain way of understanding what is important as far as cybersecurity is concerned. And nowadays it's easy because most of the boards and the executives do understand the importance of cybersecurity. And they are held accountable as well for cybersecurity. So they also take cybersecurity very seriously. And I'm one person who does have support right from the board, from the execs as well. So it becomes easy to implement. How do you get support? By making sure that you create the relevant awareness. And for instance, if there are gaps, if there are certain things that need to be done, you make it a point that the board or the execs are aware of that, and they support you in terms of the investments that are required, whether it's financial resources or people that should actually execute the work. So yeah, that is very important. So from my end, it's been awareness, and there are various ways of creating awareness. And like I said, make sure that the content that you create is relevant for your audience. And again, you also check what is it that your company or the employees of the organization that you're working for are susceptible to. And based on that, you make sure that whatever that weakness becomes a priority in your awareness program. So yeah, that helps a lot, and that has helped me throughout my journey.
Well,
Yeah.
with that, maybe for us just to have that first-hand experience, would you be able maybe to share some insights of a crisis? Like maybe take us through one crisis that you went through, just for us to understand the complexity. And also with that, for aspiring chief information security officer to understand the responsibility at that level when the crisis comes, and how do you tackle crisis as a cybersecurity leader?
Okay, in the cybersecurity space, we always say it's not about if, it's about when.
Wow.
Yes, because
eventually
yes,
it will come. You need to be ready.
like it or not. So when it comes, you must be ready, whether from a people point of view, processes, or technology. All right, processes, meaning that you must have a proper incident response in place. If you don't have it, and if it has not been practiced accordingly, in other words, tested, whether it's practical or not, hey, you won't be able to win that battle, or by the time you are able to respond, it might be too late. So those incident response plans are very important. Business continuity plans, disaster recovery plans are very fundamental. And I spoke about people who are not so technical, who can maybe embark on different domains. Those people are able to even construct disaster recovery plans, business continuity plans, together with the business, by the way.
Wow.
Yeah, so we do have all the organizations that I worked for. We made a point that we've got a disaster recovery plan, business continuity plan, and we always made a point that DRPs are practiced accordingly. If you do that, you are sure that in case a disaster happens, you are able to react as quick as possible, and the information that you have in terms of the people that should be assisting you is still relevant, because you might have names of the people who resigned long time ago.
Wow.
And that won't help you. If you look at that plan during a disaster, it won't really help you.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's part of the processes. That is quite fundamental. Even in terms of communication, you must have a proper communication plan, because during a disaster, everyone is probably panicking, or everyone is not in her right state of mind. So just make sure that the communication plan is there, and the processes to communicate to the relevant stakeholders are there, whether it's the internal executives, external executives, and also the media. That's a very important part as well, because if you don't have a plan for that, it might be a disaster, or you might end up finding wrong stories in the media.
In the media. Wow.
Yeah. So, and in terms of technology, that's also very fundamental. Earlier on, I said you must have technology that can help you while you sleep at night. Nowadays, we've got AI and machine learning. Make sure that you have technology that can help to at least detect and respond if there's something really malicious happening on your network. And yeah, it's something that I've explored as well, implementing AI-based detection real-time. So AI-based and machine learning detection and response solution. And that has helped because, like I said, when it comes to resources, it has always been a challenge. So it helped in terms of augmenting the current resources, automating some of the processes, and making sure that if something happens, at least there's a capability that can respond in real time before it becomes a disaster. So yes, investing in the correct technologies is also important. And if you've got legacy technologies that are no longer working for you, you need to revise that strategy, because remember, the threat actors are not waiting for you to update the technology. By the time you update it, it might be too late. Actually, they take advantage if you have legacy technology that is not really helping you. And nowadays, there are ways of actually augmenting whatever that you have. I know that sometimes you find that there are environments that cannot change that legacy technology, but make sure that there are other layers of defense that can protect you if, for instance, that legacy technology is taken advantage of. And from a people point of view, the people that are supposed to respond must know what processes are they supposed to follow. They mustn't start asking questions on the day. Yes, because if they start asking questions on the day, it's too late.
Yes.
So it's important to make sure that they are very familiar about the processes that needs to be followed. And should something happen, they'll be able to execute those processes. And they can only do that if you make sure that you practice those processes. You test the practicality, and wherever there are gaps, you make sure that you close those gaps as well on a continuous basis. And it's not a once-off process. Yeah.
No, that's really eye-opening. and I think all the leaders who are listening to us, it's quite important just to really follow what Sithembile is sharing with us. And one thing that I will want you to share with us, I know that you are really passionate about youth development. You are really passionate about giving back to the community. I know recently you had a project in Zambia with girls in tech and different type of project. And before we jump into it, maybe tell us about your recent award as a cybersecurity leader for 2024, because that's such a great achievement. Maybe if you can take us through that space. What does it take? What does it entail? And then from that, now we can move into some of the projects that you are passionate about in terms of youth development.
Okay. Honestly, it was a lovely surprise from my end, completely unexpected. But hey, it inspired me actually quite a lot. It encouraged me to do even better, to break barriers even more. And I believe it inspired the young ones who want to see themselves in the same position one day. And actually, that's the objective. We are here because someone believed in us and someone inspired us. And I believe that I'm inspiring other young ones or the upcoming cybersecurity professionals, the upcoming women CISOs. And I've received a lot of messages saying exactly that. And I appreciate that to everyone who has sent me that message, because it tells me that, okay, I am making a difference. And it's not just about me. It's about the generation to come.
Wow.
Because for me to be here, someone had to believe in me.
Yes.
Someone had to encourage me. Someone had to give me an opportunity or a chance. So I believe by these industries that are recognizing us, by them recognizing us, they are actually making a mark out there that, look, if you believe that you can do it, then you can.
Wow.
If she can do it, you can also do it.
Wow.
Yeah, but most importantly, I must say that God has been the foundation of everything that I do. Yes, I work hard, I do my part, but I allow then God to do the rest.
Wow.
And that has helped me a lot in my journey, because it's not an easy one.
Yes, I know. And also, I can imagine the type of, I can call it demand, not for lack of better word, stress.
Yeah.
The demand that comes with your job. So there must be a way of you going beyond the normal.
Yes.
So that's where your spirituality plays a major part into it.
Yes. So these awards are actually very encouraging. I remember they looked at the projects that that we had implemented on that year or on that financial year, and then obviously they did the evaluations based on other things as well that they see, maybe the contributions that you are making in the industry and so forth. So that for me was quite a lovely surprise, and it was an honor actually.
Yes,
because it tells me that, okay, you might be working hard through the night where no one can see, but at least someone recognizes the change that you are making, whether in your organization, in the industry, in the country, or throughout the world, because there might be someone sitting there who's encouraged by just me getting that recognition.
Wow.
Yes, because you might find that there's someone who doesn't believe in herself, but when she sees me getting recognized, she's like, oh, wow, I can relate to her.
Wow.
So if she can get it, I can get it too.
Wow.
Yeah, so I'm really grateful, and I still express my sincere gratitude to the companies, or should I say, because it's not companies, organizations that have made it a point that they recognize cybersecurity professionals.
Wow, I think it's superb and phenomenal just for us to hear such experience and the story that comes with it. So I think for me, I really want to give you an opportunity to talk to the leaders out there. What is it? What are the advices that you would like to share with our listener in line with career? Because for a normal person, the ambition is to get at the top. But the challenge sometimes is how do you stay at the top and how do you stay relevant and recreate yourself? Based on your experience, what are the advices that you could share?
That's a very tough question. But it's not about getting at the top. Because remember, even myself, I was just working, doing what I love, pushing my passion, and then somehow I ended up here. But it's not like from day one I said I want to see myself there. Well, you can say that. It's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But don't allow that to be the sole driver. Have an objective. What is your objective? Is it to make a difference and make sure that other women also get there as well? Because we know that there's a very shortage of women in the STEM space.
Yes.
I think the 2023 stats clearly stated that only 29.2% of the women in the STEM workforce.
Wow.
Right. So that's a very low percentage. Yes, there's a significant improvement compared to what we used to see in the past.
Yes.
And we are very grateful for those who contributed to us making that difference.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of work that still need to be done to make sure that there's that balance.
Wow.
Yes. So if you aspire to be one of the leaders out there, again, the most important thing is to really do your part. You have to work. You have to show and demonstrate that, you know what, I have potential.
Wow.
And I take my work seriously. And we as women, by the way, we have to work twice compared to men.
I know.
Yes. There's someone who once said, men are hired because of the potential, but we are hired because of delivery, performance.
Wow.
Yeah. And I still see that to this day and age. We have to work twice compared to our peers.
Wow.
And I am grateful to this day to those male peers who demonstrate support towards us as women, because obviously there are male peers that supported us. Even myself, there are male peers that supported me during my journey, and that's why I'm here. So it also takes men to support women in the workspace. Obviously, in the past, there used to be that myopic mindset that believe that women belong in a certain space.
Yes.
Not necessarily in a certain field or in the workplace. And gradually we're getting rid of that mindset.
Yes. Yeah.
And by me being here as a leader, I mean, I'm encouraging other young girls who aspire to be where I am one day. And yeah, I must say being authentic is also important as well.
Wow.
Yeah, be an authentic leader. Don't try to be someone else, because the moment you try to be someone else, then you even lose your purpose. Each and every one of us is there for a reason. We are different. If I can make an example, there's only one Sithembile in the whole world.
Yes.
You can travel all the countries. You'll never find me.
Yes.
And the reason why it's like that is because we are unique.
Wow.
And each and every one of us has got a unique purpose. So now if you try to imitate someone, it means you are now diverting from your purpose.
Wow.
Yes, so there is why being authentic is important.
Yes.
Yeah, don't try to be like someone.
Yeah.
Yes, you can look up to a person who's inspiring you somehow, but don't try to imitate that person. You can still reach that particular goal while you are being as authentic as possible.
Wow, the authenticity it's quite important. It's not about appearing, but it's really being who you are and bringing it to the workplace and to different projects where one is involved in. So I think
because sometimes we try to be something that we're not. And then we try to pretend like we are perfect, which is not true.
Wow.
Each and every one of us has got strengths and weaknesses.
Yes.
And obviously you need to then work on those weaknesses. But if I go to the young ones who are probably aspiring to be CISOs one day, and I tell them that, no, my life has been perfect, I'll be lying and I'll be discouraging them from being CISOs one day. But if I'm genuine to them, if I'm authentic to them and say, okay, no, you know what? Sometimes you will fail.
Wow.
But it's not about you failing. It's about what you do to get up and take the next step.
Wow.
Because each and every successful entrepreneur or each and every successful person out there had to fail someday.
Yeah.
And we learn from our failures. Actually, they make us even more stronger and more resilient.
Wow.
So if you disclose that to people, then at least they're able to see, okay, there's nothing wrong with me.
Wow.
Even if I fail, it means I can still rise up and be a better person. Look, so-and-so also failed at a certain stage of her life. But look, she still rose up and succeeded.
Wow.
And I believe that's the objective.
Wow. No, I think it's, you can listen and see that your best school can be your experience through failure. So, fail quickly, stand up, and continue. Wow, that's good. So we've almost reached the end of our program, and I know that we'll receive feedback which we will relay to you and have opportunity maybe to discuss a specific subject regarding the technology, but we just want to give you an opportunity in terms of some closing remarks that you have in terms of our your journey to the top.
Okay, all right. What I can say is, you know what, be authentic, be yourself, and then in your journey, just make sure that you understand exactly what you'd like to achieve. Connect with the people that are probably in the same career or in the same field that you're aspiring for. But not only that, network. I mean, there's LinkedIn nowadays, and I think that's how you reach out to me.
Yes.
So if I was not on LinkedIn, who knows, maybe you wouldn't have gotten hold of me.
100%.
Yes, and like collaboration is the new currency. If there are people that you can collaborate with, then make it a point that you collaborate with those individuals to become a better person.
Wow.
You know, we can't win this battle in silos, whether in the cybersecurity space or any other industry. Collaboration is very, very important. And then, you know, cyber criminals are working together. So even us in the cybersecurity space, we have to work together. We have to collaborate. Even in other fields, working together is very key. And then also, for those who are already, who have already made it, mentoring is important. Let's let's make sure that we don't rise alone. Let's mentor those who are still upcoming. I like the clause that goes like, lift as you rise. So don't throw away the ladder just because you have risen, and that defeats the whole objective. Because I believe each and every one is here to serve a certain purpose. So let's make sure that we don't just become the inspiration, but we make sure that we bring those upcoming either CISOs or cybersecurity professionals to the same level, or even better, actually. They don't have to be at the same level. They can even do better than us. There's a saying that goes like, generation ascends. Yeah, so the next generation must do better than even us.
Yes.
So we are paving a way, we are breaking barriers so that the next generation can do better. Even ourselves, you know, a few years back, women were not as dominant as these days. Someone had to break the barriers. Someone had to pave the way. And we as well are here to break barriers, pave the way so that the next generation can be better than us.
Wow, fantastic. Once again, we are so fortunate, and it was such a great experience having you with us, Sithembile. And we would like to thank all the listeners and people who are following us. So if you would like to follow, connect with Sithembile, we will make all a social media platform available. And she's someone who really believes in mentoring and advising, and I know that she will be able to help. So we've reached the end of our program today, and we are quite grateful and thankful to have you. And we're really looking forward to next episode. Follow us on all our social media platforms, and have a great one. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. This is a very fantastic program. Yeah, you're doing a fantastic job.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Really appreciate having you.
Thank you.
Thank you.